Welcome to ChromeIllusion.com. I'm going to be your instructor, Stephen Burns. Now, I have been getting a lot of requests about the Wacom 6D Art Pen. Many people have purchased it and not quite sure exactly what its practicality is and how to set up your preferences in Photoshop to utilize its rotational aspects. Now, here's a picture of the pen, and you'll notice that it has a flat felt tip tip here, or like a felt tip pad that basically resembles a marker. So it's thin if you look at it straight down from the top, but it's thick as you come downwards, so it's tapering to a linear point. Now, when you purchase your pen, make sure you update to the latest drivers that Wacom provides. Now, Wacom updates these drivers often, and to do that, go to your Wacom.com, hit your downloads, make sure we're going to hit hardware drivers, and we're going to make sure that we select the tablet that you're interested in. Now, I am working on the Cintiq, and I would actually select the Cintiq 21, and then over on the right hand side you would select your operating system. Now, their drivers is basically a single driver that will actually utilize all of your pens and all of your pads, from the Intros 2s all the way to the Intros to new Intros 4 wireless. So download the drivers. I'm going to go ahead and select Windows 7. That's my operating system. And you'll notice right here that the newest update was March 15th. So Wacom consistently updates these drivers as they get reports from their artists who are using their product and report particular bugs. And the bugs could be in relation to your graphics card or your hardware and operating system combination. So Wacom will correct that. Okay, so when you buy your new tablet, make sure you do actually update with the newest drivers, and do not use the ones that came with your CD when you purchased your product. Okay, so I'm going to start to share with you how to use the 6D pen. And we're going to custom create a brush. Now, I'm working in Photoshop, and to create a custom brush you want to use black and white information. Now, I have something that I've created. I'm going to custom create something for you. I will select this particular brush. In fact, let's go select this one here, and let's go to our brush properties, and it's a custom brush that I created that gives a little texturing effect. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the shape dynamics and turn off the angle jitter, and we can see this changing right here. Let's turn off the scattering and turn off the color dynamics. And for this particular tutorial, I'm going to turn off the other dynamics. So what I'm going to do is select the tip, brush tip shape, and bring the spacing a little bit closer together. And once we create a new brush, we're going to save it. If we don't save it, we're going to lose it. New brush preset, and click OK. Where does it put that new brush? It will put it right the very last thing right here in the bottom. Alright, so what am I going to do? I'm going to create a custom create a brush. I'm going to create a straight line, holding the shift key, dragging your brush down, pressing down and dragging it down. The shift key constrains it to one axis, in this case a vertical axis. I'm going to select my marquee, rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to select this particular shape to tell it that I want it to become a brush. Once it's selected, go to our edit menu, and in the edit menu, define it as a brush preset there. So you can call it whatever you want. I'm going to keep it sample brush number 4. Now, remember, where did it put the last brush? If we go to hit the B key for our brush on a keyboard, select my options bar for all my brush variations, and it should be the very last one right here. If I click on it, it will actually activate that brush. Now let's take a look at what this brush actually will do for us. Next to the P key on your keyboard, on the right hand side of the P key, we're going to hit the left bracket key, and the right bracket key and the left bracket key once again and make it a little smaller. I'm going to hit Command A, which is select all with the merging ants, and when I hit delete, it will delete my brush content from that first layer. It's going to help me to work a little faster. So as I begin to draw, I can begin making a little shape here. Now, this 6D brush is designed to feel and look like a felt pen. So it actually sounds and feels just like you're using a marker. Okay? So I'm going to go back to my brush properties. We're going to click it here. And I'm going to select my other dynamics, which will allow me to use the pen pressure to apply this particular stroke. I'm going to save it once again. Go to my drop menu, new brush preset, save it. So if I go to my brush properties, here it is right here at the bottom. Now what does that do for me? It will, let me hit the delete key to get rid of this content. If I press very light, I have a nice light stroke. If I press a little harder, I have a little harder stroke, and even a little harder yet. And I get to have variations of graduations of values along with my shapes. Now, some of us are a little heavier handed than others. So what I'm going to do is if I go to my Wacom properties, and that's going to be, if you're on a PC, your start menu, go to your programs, find your Wacom tablet folder, and what you want is Wacom tablet properties. If you're on a Macintosh, you simply go to your preferences and look for the Wacom tablet properties, usually down in the lower portion of your preferences dialog box. Now I'm working in Photoshop. I can set preferences for any and all programs in my system independently. So if I'm working in Photoshop and I go to Word, it automatically jumps to the Word preferences. So I'm going to click the little plus sign next to the application, making sure that the Art Pen is selected, but I also have a grip pen as well, but we want the Art Pen. Select the plus symbol and say, we want Photoshop. Okay, so I'm going to browse and go find Photoshop. There it is. It found the folder, Photoshop EXE. Select it and open it. And if I click OK, there is Photoshop. So if I select Photoshop, I can set preferences just for that. Now in Photoshop, what I want to do is just vary my tip feel. In other words, how much pressure. Like I'm a little more heavier handed than others, so I have a tendency to like my firmness up to about here. Some of you are lighter, so you might like your firmness to be a little toward the soft. I like it a little harder. I'm going to go closer to the firm in here. And once it's set, you're done. So I'm going to minimize this, and I'm going to hit the delete key. And as I start to press light, a little harder, and a little harder, and a little, see, I have to press even harder to get a nice solid black, feel there. Okay, so I have a little bit more control from when I started with a light touch to when I end it with a harder touch. Okay, but what is the real value of this 6D Art Pen? The real value is I can rotate my brush. And you need to set this up in your Photoshop brush properties. You do not set this up in the Wacom properties. This is a program independent function. Let's go ahead and turn this off, and let's go to our brush properties. Click on it here. Let's move it over to the side so we can see what we're doing. Now, currently, I'm going to tap down and watch me here on the canvas. I'm tapping down and I'm rotating my pen as I tap down. Do you notice that the lines remain basically what? Linear, vertical. Okay? They don't change in direction. What I need to do is to tell it to use the rotation properties within the Photoshop engine and apply it to my Wacom brush. Okay? So let's go over to the shape dynamics. Under the shape dynamics, Everything is turned off, except I'm going to affect the angle and tell it to use pen tilt and select it. Take a look at your dialog box here. Now it's showing you that you have pen tilt properties. In other words, tilt slightly and then a little bit more, and it tapers off here. Let's save this particular brush. Go to my drop menu. Let me move this on over so it's easier for you to see. Go to the drop menu, new brush preset, and click OK. Alright, once it's done, make sure I go to my brushes and select this one at the very bottom. There it is. Now let's go explore these brushes here. Let's go ahead and turn this off. And I'm going to make my mouse a little bit bigger. Now I'm going to hold the pen so that it's straight up and down vertically, so that the long tapered edge is facing up and down, pretty much vertical to the bottom of my screen. So when I tap, look, so I'm going to rotate my wrist a little bit, rotate the pen, and it starts to actually rotate. So I'm turning the pen as I'm pressing down. So I have that rotational functionality now. So what does that mean to you as an artist? So now, if we start to do techniques where we start to rotate the pen, you get this nice little fan look, and I can go light if I like, and real nice features. So you have to practice with this, get a good feel, determine what tip feel that you like in your Wacom properties, and just come in here and practice this flow and let up a little bit, and so you can go a little bit lighter, and you get these nice little fanning effects. So I'm not trying to create art, I'm just practicing the technique of using the rotation for the Wacom 6D pen. I hope this tutorial has been a benefit for you, and I plan to actually place more tutorials on using the Wacom product, so come back ever so often, check it out. I'm Stephen Burns, and I look forward to working with you next time.